Right now I'm in Maine. Obviously I don't live in Maine, so I'm traveling here to Maine with my family. I had one of the most traumatic travel days of my entire life, and I didn't vlog any of it because, you know what, it was just too traumatic. And I'll tell you the story because I feel like, you know what, why not? You know, I'll tell you the story. So here's what happened. It all started out at 11 a.m. at SFO, San Francisco Airport, California. No big deal, that's where I live. Okay, whatever. I don't live at the airport, but you know what I mean. My flight was at like, I don't know, 11 a.m. My first flight was from SFO to Chicago Airport, and then from Chicago to Maine. That was the plan. No big deal. Before my flight in Chicago, I was supposed to have like a 45-minute layover, which is a short layover, but we were like, you know what, we can make it happen. 45 minutes, we can just bolt. That's not a long layover, so we were a little bit worried, you know. We'll see what happens. Our flight from SFO to Chicago, it's a little bit delayed, so we're like, you know what, a little bit stressed out, but we're like, you know what, we can still make it. We'll make it happen. Decent flight, nothing crazy happened. But then all of a sudden, the flight lands, and we get a announcement on the overhead thing, and they announced that there's a medical thing going on, and we were going to have to taxi for longer. We weren't going to be like leaving the plane for like another like 20 minutes. And at that time, our flight was going to leave in 20 minutes. Like our flight was going to take off the ground in 20 minutes. And we're like, what are we going to do? Surrender to the fact that we're going to miss our flight. Like, all right, you know what? We're going to miss our flight. So we looked online, and we saw that was the last flight going to Maine tonight. So we're like, do you know what? We're screwed. We're gonna have to stay in a hotel in Chicago. We're like, what are we gonna do? 20 minutes. We had 20 minutes. We're like, how are we gonna do this right now? We're like standing in the aisles of the plane, just like waiting for like the paramedics to like leave the plane. And we're so stressed out because we feel bad because of course like whoever's having a medical issue, I mean, heart goes out to them. I don't know. They're okay, by the way. But it was just stressful because we're like, we want to get off the plane, but at the same time, you know, you want to have sympathy for whatever the situation is. And we want to like ask if we can get off the plane earlier because, you know, our flight leaves in 20 minutes. It leaves in 20 minutes. But we were on the last row of the plane. We were literally the last row. There was not one row behind us. We were the last one. The 53rd row. That was us. So it was crazy. Technically, we're the ones who would get off the plane last. At this point, me and my dad were just pushing everybody out of the way. We're like, nope, no. Sorry, my flight leaves in 20 minutes. We're trying to make it. Everybody's like, you're not even gonna make it. We're like, oh, honey, we're gonna make it, okay? No joke. We're in like Terminal 1. Like our plane landed in Terminal 1. Not only, this is like one of the biggest airports like in the US, okay? And we have to get from Terminal 1 to Terminal 2 in like 15 minutes before our plane takes off. Not before boarding. Like our plane was already boarded at the time. And we're not even off the plane yet. And our plane was boarding. And it wasn't like, oh, you know, you just run to the next gate. Like we had to run all the way from one terminal to the next. At this point, we're like, all hope is lost. We're like, I don't even know. To make matters worse, on our like ticket that we printed out in the beginning of the trip, it said that like the gate was not yet assigned. So like we didn't even know what gate our thing was at. All we knew was it was in Terminal 2 and we were in Terminal 1. So we're like, okay, but I don't even know. We asked some guy to like look up our flight, and so he looks up our flight. He worked at the airport. You can either take a shuttle or you can walk, and it's gonna take 20 minutes either way. And me and my dad were like, we're gonna freaking run. At this point we have 15 minutes. We're like, our plane is gonna leave in 15 minutes and we have to, no joke, run all the way across this airport. Okay, so I kid you not, me and my dad run over a mile with all of our carry-on luggage. We're running through the airport, like just running, pushing past people. It's so crowded. I'm like dying. Like running in general is horrible, but like running with like freaking backpack just filled with a bunch of stuff, so heavy, literally running as fast as we possibly can. We ran for like 15 minutes straight up running, and I'm like, that's like enough exercise for like the entire year. And our gate is like F21. We see a gate and it's F1, but we have to go to F21. So we're like, all right, you know what? We're close, right? Our plane is leaving in 2 minutes. We're like, no, we just ran like for 10 minutes. There's no way that plane is leaving without us. There's no way we're gonna let that plane leave. So we freaking keep going. We're like, do you know what? Our plane is leaving in 2 minutes. We need to keep going. My dad's ahead of me at this point because I'm just dying. Like I'm so red. I'm literally, sweat is dripping down. I'm red. Like at this point, it's like, who even know? Like I don't even know what's going on. Like at this point, I'm just like, I don't even know who even am I? Like I don't even know. Nothing matters to me except for getting on this flight. We have 2 minutes to get there. It's all or nothing right now. Every ounce of energy I had I was putting it towards getting on that plane. I was going to get on that freaking plane if it was the last thing I did in my life. I was literally gonna walk out onto the tarmac and hold onto the freaking airplane wing until they noticed me and let me on the plane. I don't even care. I was like, no, this is my #1 priority in my life right now. We're running through the F gates. It's like F1, F2, F3, F4. Then there's a food court. For like, no joke, 1 minute. Just the biggest food court you've ever seen. And I'm just like running past this food court and it's just like the gates just end. Then finally we pass the freaking food court and it's like, okay, F7, F8, F9. We just keep running. The last F gate, it was like F21 was like the last freaking F gate. It just like never ended. It was huge. The airport is huge and each gate was so big. It was unbelievable. 1 minute until our flight is supposed to like leave. Like the doors are closed in like 1 minute and we're just like, we're not gonna make it. My dad just starts going. He's at this point, he's just full on sprinting. And I'm like, I can't even do this. I'm like, I can't freaking sprint. I've been running for the past 15 minutes with a backpack. Like, I'm dead right now. So my dad runs up ahead. He's like very far ahead at this point. I'm like, freaking, I'm back here. I'm like, sorry, no. He turns the corner and I see him like pop out his head and he's like thumbs up and I'm like, no freaking way. I'm like, what does this mean? I run up to him and I look around the corner and there's no one else in the gate. The gate is completely empty and there's one guy at the counter and I see my dad scanning the ticket and I'm like, hallelujah. Like literally, yes. I believe, like, I don't know. And then I asked my dad later, I'm like, was he just standing there? He's like, no. The guy that was like checking the tickets, he did one like last call where he like stuck his head out of the door, like for one last second before he was about to go in and shut the door for good. He was doing his last call, like literally looking out to be like, is anybody else here? All right, shut the door. He looks out and my dad comes around the corner right at that second and freaking catches the guy right moments before he was about to close the door. Literally, if we would have ran slower for like 3 more seconds, if the time would have been shifted 3 seconds like later, we wouldn't have made it on. Like, that's how freaking unreal it was. We get on this plane and I tell you what, I have never been happier to be on a plane in my entire life. It was probably one of the best feelings I've ever felt in my life. We get on the plane, I'm sitting there, I'm like, do you know what? I'm sweating. I feel disgusting, but I'm a champion right now. This is like one of the best moments of my life. I was so proud. We just freaking savaged that. Everybody was like, you're gonna miss your flight. Everybody was like, you're not gonna make it. Just don't even try. And we're like, no, we're gonna freaking try. We made it on the plane. And look where I am now. If we wouldn't have ran, I wouldn't even be here right now. I'd still be in Chicago. F that. No. So anyway, that was freaking crazy. I hope you're still freaking not bored, because I would be bored if I was you. You thought it ended there. It didn't. We land and our luggage didn't come. Basically, it didn't have enough time to get to the plane. Our luggage was still in Chicago, and it still is right now. So today's the next day. It's like 11 a.m. and I'm still wearing the same shirt that I was wearing, and I'm still wearing the same pants and the same shoes and the same everything. I haven't changed since yesterday. I feel disgusting, and I'm waiting for my luggage to come. It's supposed to come today. They're driving it to us. We don't have to go back to the airport, thank God. Just a quick shout out to United Airlines. They told us, they're like, yeah, we forgot your luggage. We'll drive it to you tomorrow. No big deal. But for now, they gave both me and my dad these United water bottles. Okay, thank you, United. Thank you so much for setting us up with a flight that was like impossible. They like set up, you know, a 48-minute layover, and it was our choice. You know, we didn't have to take that, but we did, and they really didn't plan that out well, because that's an impossible thing to do. 48-minute layover, there's no way you could make it. Like, there's just no way. We'll never do that again. But hey, do you know what? Through all of that, through all the stress and pain and tears and blood and sweat, we got these water bottles. So right now, I'm gonna do a little haul for you. Well, do you know what? You don't even care. This is boring. It comes with all the things you're gonna need: deodorant, toothpaste, lotion, Tic Tacs, a toothbrush even. I mean, it's totally cute, but I'm like, you know, United, you freaking lost my luggage and now you're giving me this? Like, you think this is really enough? Like, do you know what you've just put me through? I almost had like a heart attack like 8 times throughout that travel experience. And like, you give me this and think it's okay, and then you lose my freaking luggage and leave it in Chicago, and then you give me this and think that it's all gonna be cool and it's all gonna be dandy and all right. I'm sorry, United, but life doesn't work like that. You know, United, they've had a few scandals recently. They just think that they can just hand out these water bottles and think everybody's gonna like them again. It's not really how it works. This is kind of cool, whatever, but you know, you need to work on your thing. It's not, moral of the story is, if you think you're gonna miss your flight, just go, just try. Just, you know what? Never give up, because you never know. Like, if you just tell yourself, oh, I'm not gonna make it. We defied all odds. And like, I also ran. Like, that's also defying all odds. But now I'm here, and that's good. That was my story. I hope you're not bored. And if you are, I'm sorry, I don't know.